Hi, yeah, I have got it now. Thank you all for joining this lab on managing clients in System Center 2012 Release 2 Configuration Manager. I have Toby, Claire, and Kenny to assist with any technical issues. If there is anything, they will bring it to my attention, and let's jump straight into it. So we're going to do a couple of things on the client mostly this time. We're going to verify that the configuration manager client can communicate with the primary site server. We're going to break the client so that it can no longer communicate with the site. We will repair the configuration manager client with the inbuilt client health feature. We're going to verify that the client is now communicating with the site. We will do some reporting, and we are also going to view and modify the default client settings, and we will create and assign the custom client settings to a collection. We'll also verify that the custom client settings has been implemented, and we will use the remote control feature. So let's jump straight into it. There isn't anything that we've configured. That we only have we're only going to be using one device collection, the configuration manager clients. That's the only collection that we'll be using. We'll be creating another one here. What else am I going to show you here? There isn't anything much that I've got to show you. There isn't anything much that I'm going to show you here, except um, the site is MCM, and the obviously the primary site server is called primary one. That's all. That's what I'm going to show you on the primary primary site server. So let's go on to the client. Okay, so in the client server, we have the Windows 7 client managed computer. There isn't much that I'm going to show you, except that on the software center, the only thing I want to point out here is that the default is IT organization, which will be changing once we work on the site, on the default site client settings. That's pretty much it that I want to show you. So let's start. So we're going to start by initiating a discovery data collection cycle, and this is quite straightforward. We just let me just actually I'm going to save this so that we don't have to keep on, because we might be doing this. Well, we're going to be doing this quite a few times, so let's save this to the desktop. So under the configuration manager, if we click on action, we can run the discovery data collection. So let's run that now, and that will now force the process for the client to create and send a heartbeat discovery record to its management point, which is on the primary site server. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to validate that the client is successfully communicated with the site by viewing the timestamp on of the latest heartbeat. So if we go to access and compliance, and under the configuration manager clients, client one, which is the client that we just worked on, if we go to the properties and click on the time agent timestamp, let me just increase this so that you can see it better. Let's do this a bit so that we can see this. Okay, so if I just zoom in, so you can see that the timestamp shows at 1:14 for today's date, which is the 24th of July. Okay, so that's pretty much like 2 minutes ago. As you can see, the time is 1:16 p.m. All right. So with that concluded, now what we're going to now do is that we're going to validate the client status in the configuration manager monitoring workspace. So if we go to the monitoring workspace, and if we click on the client status, and we are going to jump straight into, let's go straight into the client activities. As you can see, we have one active and two that are not active. So if we double click on the active one, it will show us that the client one is the one that is active and that is past the client check result. And if you click on the red one, it will show you that client 8 and the primary one have not passed the check because it hasn't been run of lately. Okay, so let's move on. Actually, under the client check, it shows you that in the past history that the three clients did pass the client check. So if you double click on the pie chart, it will show you that all three had passed at some point in the past. Okay, so what have we done? We've checked the client. We've used the monitoring workspace to check the client status and to check the activity. Okay, so so the next thing that we're going to now do is that we're going to break the configuration manager client of the primary site of the workstation. And to do that, we are just going to run this. We're going to run this. So we're going to run this batch file. So let's just copy this batch file, which is on the primary site server labs. So let's command prompts and let's just paste that here and run that. So what this is doing, as you can see, it's stopping this the security center services. It's corrupting the WMI file, WMI, and it is also it has also stopped the SMS service. So to prove that, if we, as you can see, it's turned off, and yep. So if we have a quick look at the services, we will see that the SMS is now off. The SMS agent is now off. So okay, so there you go. So the SMS agent host is now it's no longer started. And if we go back and click on the, let me just close all this. And if we go back and click on the configuration manager, as you can see, we no longer have any option to do anything here because it is actually broken. Okay, so we have, what have we done? We have broken, and we have confirmed that we can no longer access the management point on the primary site server. So now what are we going to do now? We are now going to repair the broken configuration manager client. So basically what we're doing is that we are going to run the inbuilt client SMS health tool. So let's do that on the client machine, which is on the Windows CCM. And if we run the CCM eval, there you go. So this is, we are manually running this. So if we have a look at the task manager, so that's the CCM eval execute. So basically what this component is going to do is that it's going to repair the client, including the WMI repository. It's going to reinstall the SMS agent service, and once that is all done, we will notice that this will change from CCM eval to CCM. Well, we will have another execute that is called the CCM execute that will start running, and once that's running, everything will confirm that it has been fixed. Okay, so as you can see, the CCM execute is now there. So very soon, okay, the CCM eval has now disappeared, and that confirms that everything is now working. We could have actually have a look at the logs. I forgot to mention this. So if we have a look at the CCM eval log, and if we let's tidy this up. And if we go to the bottom, so there you can see, let me time, you can see that this has completed. Let me just bring this up so that you can see it better. So you can see the CCM eval finished normally, and the time is, if I just move this a bit, the time is 13:24, and if we have a look at our own time, it says 13:25. That is 1:25. So with that complete, we can validate the that the client has been repaired by, actually, let me just close all this. We can validate this by launching the configuration manager properties. So as you can see, we now have it now shows that it has been assigned to the management point on the primary site server, and the site code was that it was assigned to is the MCCM. So that's the primary site, and that's the primary site server on management point on the primary site server, and the site code is the MCM. Okay, as you can see, we now have we can now run any of these actions. We do not need to run the discovery data collection because this is done automatically once the client has been installed. So let's cancel that. So now, what is it that we're going to do? We're now going to validate that the client is able to communicate with the management point after the repair of the configuration manager client on the primary site server. So if we go back onto the primary site server, so basically what we're going to do is we're going to validate that the client has been repaired from the console. So let's go to access. So if we go, let me just refresh this. I could just go back. So let me just so if we go back onto the client and have a look at the properties of the time, it will show us as you can see, it shows us the time of 1:26 p.m. On the 24th of July. So that is good. Everything is good. Now what we're going to do is that we're going to validate the client health in the monitoring workspace. If we go, so in the monitoring workspace, if we click on the client status, under the client check, we will now see it will show us that actually that the client one actually failed. So if we let's go back and have a look at the, so on the client activities, it will show us that now we have two inactive ones, which is client 8 and client and primary 1. But it will also show us that the one that is active is client 1, but it actually failed the client check result. The client check result shows that failed. But if we have and then okay, on the summary you have information, you have a summary of all the information, but and the client activity shows you the requests and all the things that actually took place. But what I want to show you is the client check detail, which shows you that the that it failed. That it tried to do a verify and remediation of the WMI file, but it but it actually was successful. Afterwards, it was success. So although the times are showing the same, unfortunately it's not in seconds. I would have been able to show you the time difference. So that is pretty much what we want to show on the in the workstation, in the monitoring workspace. What we now want to show is if we go onto the go to reporting. So if we go to reporting, and let's expand that and click on the client status. So clients, if we click on client status, here we can view client status summary. So let's just wait. Okay, so on the values, we're going to choose the configuration manager clients, and you do have the option to choose the 2012 clients only, or all configuration manager clients versions, but we're just using 2012 anyway, so let's just use that. So let's click on view report. Okay, so there it shows you all active clients. Like I said, like we've seen previously, we only have one active client. The active client failed the check. It shows that the percentage that there was just one. So that's good. That's the summary of what we just discussed previously. And if we have a look at the history, and if we say, well, we're not really going to see much because these are VMs and they were just set up for they were just set up, so we won't really have a lot of activity. So as you can see, there's no history. So but that's how you can get information about the history. And what else do I want to show? Remediation summary, let's click on that. And also we just want to do it for the configuration manager clients. And okay, now here we're going to have a look at the we're going to first have a look at the ones that were successful. And you can see, like I said, the WMI repository integrity test that was completed, and it will show for one machine, which is the client one workstation. Now, also, if I do that again if I do that again for the failed, we shouldn't have anything because it has been fixed. So as you can see, there's nothing here because nothing. It was successful, so it wasn't a failure. So that is why we don't have anything here. If the machine tried to fix itself, or if you manually try to fix it, the information will show here that it failed. Okay, so that pretty much covers it. So what are we now going to do? We're going to verify the health of the client. We're going to do a verification of the client's health. And to do this, we're going to go back onto the client machine, and we are just going to have a quick look at the schedules that we have there. So if we go back onto the client machine, and if we just go to the administrative tools, so on the scheduled task, so all I want to quickly show you here is to show you some of the default scheduled task. So if we go for Microsoft and for the configuration manager, so let me just increase this. So basically what we're saying here, we're looking at the configuration manager health evaluation. Triggers every day between from 12:07, depending on what time it's randomly done. The action is to run the CCM eval .exe conditions. These are just the default normal set conditions that we're not going to bother with right now. Settings, same thing. You know what to do if it's stopped, if it, to do to allow to when it can be run on demand and all that, and a brief history of what has been done in the past few days. So that pretty much covers what I really want to show you on verifying the identifying the client health component schedule and its configuration. So what are we now going to do? We're going to modify. We're going to go back onto the primary site server, and we're going to modify the default client settings. So if we go to the administration, and if I go to client settings, so for the client settings, we're just going to change the client settings here. And what we're going to do is that we are going to change under the computer agent. I am going to remember that the default was I showed you previously that in the system center that the default was IT admin or something like that, administration. So but we're now going to change this and give it our own name. So let's call it HGK test lab clients. So that is done. Also, if we have a look at the remote tools, on the remote tools, we're going to enable the that we are able to do that. Enable remote control on the client computers, and obviously the domain. Click OK, and that pretty much covers what we're going to do in modifying the default client settings. So we just click. Let's. Is there anything else we're going to play with? Nothing. Click OK. Okay. So now, what we're now going to do is that we're going to implement the modified client settings to both of the configuration manager clients, client one, which is the Windows 7, and the primary site server. We could manually initiate the machine policy retrieval evaluation circle on each client. However, with as with the service pack 1, we are now on release 2. But since release 1, we have now the ability to do all this from the console. So let's go to the assets compliance, and if I just go back to device collection just to show you. So under the configuration manager client, so under the configuration manager clients, oh sorry, I didn't mean to double click. So there are several ways you can do this. You can just right click and go to client notification. Also you could, and then you can just click download computer policy. Also you can just click OK, or you could do it from here and click on client notification, and then you can download the policy from here. Okay. So now we're going to verify that the modified client settings has been implemented. So let's go to the software center on the primary site server. So let me just type in software center, And as you can see, it says AGK Test Lab clients now. And if we have a look at the options, remote control, you can see I can now um, take remote control of this machine. As you can see, I can't change modify this, and we'll be changing this option in the next implementation that we'll be doing. So what we're now going to do now, we are going to create a custom client settings that will be implemented onto the server clients in the environment. So let's do this by creating a new distribution, a new collection. So under access and clients, let's go to the distribution collection. We are there actually, and let's create a new one. So create a device collection. So we're gonna call this AGK data center, and the limiting collection, we're going to choose all systems. Click next, and we're going to add obviously the query rule. That's what we're always going to be using, and give it the same name, AGK. Sorry, AGK. What did I call this previously? AGK data center. Okay, so let's edit the query, and on the criteria we are going to add. So what we're now going to do is that we're going to create a new one. So let's click select, and the attributes for this class is going to be system resource. Let's just search for that. It's not the best way. I should have written it out. System resource. There you go. Not the best way to look for it, but hey ho. And for the attributes, we are going to choose operation system name and version. Click OK. On the operator, we're going to change this to is like, and the value will be, it's going to be server. So let's and type in server. Okay, so that pretty much covers it. Let me just have a look there. Yep. Yep. Okay. Click next, next, and close. Okay, so let's just wait for this to populate. We could do a refresh, or we could just let's just refresh it. Okay, there you go. And if we show the members, so there you go. It shows these are all the servers that are in that distribution, in that collection, with only one client activity, one which is for the primary one, which is active. Okay, so now we are going to create the custom client settings that will be used for this collection. So back to the administration workspace, and let's now create a custom client setting. So let's do this. We are going to call this AGK data center. clients. Not going to bother with description. And what are we going to modify? We're going to have what we're going to modify is the computer agent, power management, and remote tools. So these are the things that we are going to modify, and let's just change this straight away by me changing this from AGK Test Lab clients to AGK Test Lab servers. Power management, allow power management of device. No, we don't want power management. And yeah, we want to allow users to exclude. Yeah, we want to allow users to exclude their device from power management. Okay, and on the remote, what are we gonna do here? We are going to say we're going to remove prompt user for remote control permission. I'm going to say no because it's a server. Alright, so we just click OK to that. Actually, let me have a look at this one more time. Yeah, let's change this to user can change the policy or notification settings in the software center because this is a server. So let's enable that. Okay, as you can see, the priority is 1 with the default client settings set to 1000. So basically, we will see what the resultant is. That's one of the things that we're going to do. But first, let's assign the custom client settings to a collection, to the collection that we just created. So if we just right click and click on deploy, and we choose the AGK data center, and if we're going to now verify the resultant client settings. So if we go to primary 1 now, let me just go back and forth just to make sure. So under primary 1, if we have a look, click on home, click on device, and should be here on the client settings, resultant client settings. So as you can see, on the computer agents, it shows that it's now going to be called AGK Test Lab servers, and all the settings that we set up, remote tools, we set up that the user can change policy, yada yada yada. What else did I put that we did? For the power management, we said allow power management on this device, so we set it to no. So that pretty much covers the us verifying the resultant client settings. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to implement the custom client settings using the real-time action on the configuration manager. So if we go to, so under the back in the assets compliance, if we go back, let's go back actually. So assets and compliance, and let's click on device collections. So on the device collection, if we click on the data center, the AGK data center, and go back to client notification, and click, we're going to click download the computer policy. So this policy is now pushed to each of the online clients, which is just the workstation and the this primary site server. So this policy will now modify the power management and modify the remote control configuration and obviously the organization name displayed in the software center. So let's verify the custom client settings implementation. So go on software. So as you can see, it's now changed to AGK Test Lab servers. That's the first thing. And if you have a look at the remote control, so here you can, as you can see, you can change the settings. I think I showed you. I've already showed you on the client machine that we couldn't do that. So let's just go on the client machine and so let's just do this. So as you can see, it says here AGK Test Lab clients, and if we go to the option remote control, you can see that we can't modify the remote control. Okay, so that concludes the custom client settings and implementation. Now what we're going to now do is we're going to validate the implementation of the remote control and try to start the remote control sessions for on this client machine. So if I go back to the primary site server, so and if I go to if I let's get, where is it on the clients? So on the client one, if we right click, we should be able to start the remote control. So as you can see, it's connecting. It's now asking the remote user to allow remote control. Go on to the client one. As you can see, we can now approve that the administrator can access our machine. Click approve. Go back to the primary site server, and there you go. So you can see that we do. Oh, sorry. Trying to. That we do have control of their machine. Okay, so let's go back and just have a look. So there you go. But as you can see, the user still has full control of the machine. As you can see, the user can still has full control. So I'm going to show you that the administrator can lock the user out and can send the control alt delete command. So let's go back to the primary site server. So for the primary site server, you can put an action to send the control alt delete key. So that's on the primary site server, as you can see. But like I said, that the user can still work on the machine. But if you want to take full control, let's go on back onto the primary site server. On the action, you can lock the remote keyboard and mouse. So if you go back to the client machine, as you can see, I can no longer do anything. Okay. So that pretty much covers everything I want to show on this. So that pretty much covers everything. What have we done? We verified the client can communicate with the site, the management point on the primary site server. We broke the client. We repaired the client using the inbuilt client health feature, which I forgot to mention automatically runs if it fails. We also verified the reports. We modified the default client settings. We created a custom client settings. Uh, we verified the custom client settings implementation, and we used the remote control feature. So that pretty much covers everything. I just want to say thank you to Jenny, Toby, and Kenny, and we're going to take this offline and answer any questions. And good luck with your configuration manager. Thank you. Cheers.